Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. I have a layout share for you today on winter memories as part of the creative team over at the Scrap Happy blog. Full disclosure, I am paid for my work over at the Scrap Happy blog, and I will encourage you to go and check them out. As you saw from that bit of a sneak, I am going to be creating a grid design, and I'm going to do this in the style of an awards ceremony. So I've selected 10 photos from across the many years that we've enjoyed various winter activities. I have pulled out my winter supply storage pouch here, and I am choosing just a few pieces of pattern paper because it is full of so many photos that I don't need a lot of products to go on here. I do want something very neutral for matting my photos, so that is that blue kind of check pattern. And the other two papers there are options for my background, and I will link products below if you're interested in any of these. I think they're still available. So the first thing I'm going to do is figure out my grid. I am going to use photos that are about 3 inches wide by 4 inches tall because that math fits very well on a 12 by 12 sheet. Only I'm going to make my photos slightly smaller so that I can mat them, and then the mats will be slightly smaller so that I do have border all the way around. So I am testing this out on 2 different papers for the background, and I thought I wanted to use this more colorful print. But because my photos are very mild in color tone, I decide that they need to not compete with the background color. So I go with this penguin print, and that actually ends up working out really well in the end. I didn't plan it this way, but let me tell you what I mean when we get there. So in order to set up my grid, I do one important thing. I take out the cutting blade on my trimmer, and just with the scoring blade, and if your trimmer doesn't have a scoring blade, go ahead and use a scoring tool. I will score this layout at 3-inch markings across the width of the layout. So that gives me kind of 4 columns. And then I will score 4-inch markings from top to bottom of the layout. So now I have a grid that is 4 wide by 3 high, and that will fit 10 photos around the outside edge and leave me a center for my title. Now, instead of doing a lot of journaling, because it just won't fit, I am going to label each photo with this celebratory banner, and I set this up in my Illustrator software. Now, I know not everybody has access to that, so you could use your own handwriting. You could set it up in an electronic die cutting machine that will write and cut. So there are other ways to do this besides my kind of detailed way. When I have all of my banners ready, they fold up to make a little bit more dimension to them. So I get them all folded up, and I am putting each one with the appropriate photo, so I have them spaced out there. I at first thought I was going to put them at the bottom of the photo, but then that didn't leave room for more stuff that I was going to add to the bottom of that mat. I thought I was going to add more journaling to this, but it just wasn't going to fit. So that little banner is going to have to do for the journaling. And what I did instead at the bottom there was add the date from when these photos were taken, so you can see the progression of time. And now I'm balancing out my photos on the layout, trying to get enough color spread around the page because it is not a very colorful layout with those photos. So with a little bit of color process there, I created a title piece, and I'm not happy with it. One, because the text on the background is too competitive with each other, and 2, because the color of that is too competitive with the photos. So as I'm looking at it and thinking about it, I move on to another element of this layout, which is creating an award ribbon. Now, there's lots of ways to do this. You can do it manually by hand, by scoring and folding. I happen to have a Tim Holtz die, and if I can find the link for that, I'll link you up below. That creates these little prize ribbons for me. So I have enjoyed using this die because the process would be a little tedious otherwise. But I get the ends of this little banner hooked together, and then if I can get it into place, then it will create that little prize ribbon banner. And I know there's another word for it that's escaping me. So at any rate, using some liquid glue to glue that upper piece in place will help hold everything together so it won't pop loose. Off screen, I did create a new title because two reasons. This shape of title helps tuck in between my photos better, and then I brought in a little bit of gold because I did that on my Cricut and used a gold pen in the Cricut machine to draw my title onto that paper, and then it cut out the shape. So because I have some gold going on there, I do want to bring in other pops of gold around, and that goes with the award ceremony style of this layout. So just some scrap foiled paper from my stash, and I am cutting some little fishtail banners into that ribbon to complete my little prize ribbon there. My prize ribbon done, I'm popping my title up on some foam tape to give it a little more emphasis, and my foam tape was a little big, so I had to trim it down. I'm getting that placed so that it tucks in there just how I wanted it to, and now I'm trying to tuck this prize ribbon around. I did kind of think about tucking it right where I put it, and I wasn't sure that was going to work, but it fits in there just fine, and I can still read the title. I am decorating it up a little bit more with a vellum cut snowflake, and that is a cut file I have for free over on my blog. If you like snowflakes, then you can go download that and use those in your own crafting. Now, I realized I missed a photo for this story, and I can't fit another photo on this layout, so I took one of these photos off, and I'm actually going to save that story and create its own layout because it could have a longer story behind it. And I swap in this photo instead because that was a very important snow event to us, and I wanted to get that one on this particular layout. I punch out these stars, and again, I think I'm going to add a little bit of journaling to those stars, but I don't have an appropriate pen that's going to write on that slick surface. As many pins as I have in my scrap space, you would think I would have something, but alas, I did not. And I set that aside and I start playing around with a few embellishments. Like I said, there's not a lot of room here for a lot of stuff, and I tend to try and just cram stuff on there, and I have to rein myself in. So when I find this little penguin, I think, aha, this is what I need. That little penguin looks like an MC who is the master of ceremonies for my award ceremony, and now the background pattern paper looks like an audience of penguins at this award ceremony. So I was rather pleased with how that turn of luck came about with these embellishments and this paper. So that made me happy. And then I decided to just stick those stars on my layout as is to sprinkle a little bit more celebratory gold around this layout. And that will call it good. So that is it for this time around. If you want to see more wintry layouts and how I pull out storytelling ideas that don't have anything to do with winter from these layouts, go ahead and head over to the Scrap Happy blog and check that out. I will be back on Friday with a mixed media layout for you. And between now and then, we celebrate the Thanksgiving holiday here in the United States. And if you do too, I wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. Until I see you next time, have an artful day.